Father Festus, the forefront of reggae music. Started as Father Festus and then met Dennis Brown 1972. When Gregory Isaac got the name Cool Ruler, the same day I got the name Tipper, which was branded on me by Dennis Brown. By calling me Tipper, he likes the way I move around the thing, the way I'm moving. He never seen things like this before. So he gravitates to me very early out, you know, in his singing career. Ever since I've been a little boy, I wasn't afraid of nothing at all. Nothing at all. Just a brave little youth who want to know everything. Father Festus, the forefront of reggae music, straight up. As an 8-year-old in Jamaica, some soldiers marched through my village one day. All the kids ran away. Me, I went straight to the root of the problem and went straight to the soldiers in the middle, start marching with them for 2 miles, and while we're going along, a soldier take his gun off and says, "You carry this." And I put it on my shoulder and marched with the soldier band. That's why I knew I was a brave man, because all the other kids, they ran away. So that's why I know I'm a very brave man. And when I was going to school, I went to school with a man called Errol Thompson from Joe Gibbs Studio. That's my schoolmate and his brother. And we two was terrible. We two, Errol Thompson brother and myself, we were two bad little men going to school. Take no check from nobody. So I wasn't afraid. Jamaica now I hit, but true, probably the African spirit in me, you know. The African spirit, I think, in me. And I don't want to left the African spirit, no left me. Because before I even sound system, it was coming. If you hear a thing coming out with the drums play at Jamaica, ancient thing. I'm born and growing at that sound system. I live here, the sound system is right there, next door. And my brother also had a sound system in Jamaica. So at a very early age, I was with the thing. And I'm still here doing what I do. The passion I have for this thing, I don't think no one in the business have the passion that I have for sound system. All my life, just sound system. Period. And I'm not gonna stop right now.
Well, my name is Mile Joseph Magushi, but there's only like a handful of people who know me as that. I'm Biggs, Ja Biggs, Rockers LDN, Rockers International, which stays true to all the old tenets of Rockers International, but you know, it takes into account the fact that we live in London, takes into account my generation and stuff like that. So what I do now is just what we do, you know. We make music, we make art, we do events, we work with artists, we support other artists, and we invite artists to support what we're doing. So fairs, when I was younger, like school days and stuff like that, you know, you fear not being accepted, you fear not being wanted, you fear not being agreed with, stuff like that. And then you grow out of that when you do all your own things, and then the fear becomes even bigger because you fear your creation not being accepted or being wanted or having a place and stuff like that. So I guess my fears have always been the same. I don't know if they're the same as other people's fears. I don't have much external fears. My fears are usually internal, you know. I don't know, I'm not even sure if I've overcome all my fears, to be honest, but sometimes fears are a good thing. You know, there's a lot of negative connotation affiliated to the word fear, but I think, you know, any member of society is going to have fears. If you don't, when I meet people who tell me, oh, they don't care what anyone thinks or they don't care that, I kind of worry about those kind of people. Because I think, you know, like, we're all member of one massive organism, you know, which is the human race, which we inhabit this planet. So it's all about what we create while we're here and stuff like that. What has changed is I realize is everyone doesn't know what they're doing, you know, there's no script. You know, like the Truman Show, when you think everyone's been through that stage where they think like everyone's watching whatever they do and everyone's going to see if they mess up, or everyone's going to know they don't really know what they're doing. But I realize not many people know what they're doing. All you can do is like do your best. So what I do now is just create what I can create. I try my best, try and be honest with myself, you know. You don't internalize external problems and what you project onto the earth in terms of like who you are, your art form, your music, anything. As long as it's the purest version of you, there will be people out there who accept it, you know. So that's what I think. You know, I have a strong belief in the creator, whatever they want to call him, Allah or God or Jesus or Buddha, I know what we call him. But like, we kind of feel like the script has been written, you know. You're just acting a part in this theatre. So God's the director, so whatever role he chooses for you, all you have to do is like do it your best. You know, they say if life hands you lemons and you make lemonade. I feel like that's what I kind of done. I was always intelligent, but I was never an academic, and I didn't really see a problem with that. And luckily I had a kind of mother who didn't see a problem with that too. We're from like an artistic and musical background, so once I started concentrating on art and music and events and making things happen, then I kind of felt like I became successful because I was doing what I was created to do, you know. And then in that sense, you don't have any fear anymore. Once you do what you were meant to do, then that's all you can do. You're not afraid. I'm afraid of like some mental health person killing me on the street or something like that. That's all. I don't care what people really think about me, or because I know I'm always do the best, you know, and if I can't do better, then I can't do any better. You know, I'd always tell people that they should follow their dreams, you know, and all you can be is you, because the most valuable person you can be is yourself. If you try and be someone else, then you're going to be second best because someone else is already that person. So you have to just be yourself. For me personally, I always had God very close in my heart, you know. There's times when I stopped believing in God, but God never stopped believing in me. You know, we always move forward. And the most important thing is, you know, when you take a few steps up the ladder, you have to reach back and pull someone else up also, you know, because we only rise together through art, through music, as a community, anything. And I just tell people, like, keep trying. Don't worry about what people say about you, because there's only one you, and you were put here to do what you were put here to do, so you will figure it out eventually. You know, some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I've ever met still don't know what they're doing with their life. So, yeah, just push forward, be you, because God created one you to make an impact on this earth, and trying to be someone else, you'll never be good at that, because someone else is already that person.
Silence. My name's Sakina. I describe myself as a confident, justice-seeking, adamant Christian that beliefs have allowed her to have no fears anymore. Not having a voice. So from the age of 6, 7, not being heard in situations was always something that was an underlying fear in every situation. So in order to express that, it was to be the odd one in the situation, the odd one in a group, just to ensure that my voice was heard and that people knew how I felt, because the fear of not being heard was so overwhelming that I would do anything to escape it. From going from primary school to secondary school to now in college, I think the fear is always still there, but has become a part of my character in the sense that it's now become natural for me to have a voice, and almost for people to expect me to have a voice, because my voice represents my thoughts, my beliefs, my culture. It's who I am, and to have to fight for something for that for so long as a fear has now become something that is just natural, is now no longer a fear. I don't think I feared many things growing up. Just being brought up in a way to be bold, and that the only thing to fear is your own potential, I think, in a sense. So to fight for your potential to be seen in every situation makes it that no other fear can kind of counteract that or overwhelm that. So I don't feel as though many fears have been able to ever be an obstacle, because they never existed in the first place. There was never a fear of the dark, there was never a fear of heights, there was never a fear of opposition, of losing, because none of them ever existed. I think people fear rejection. I don't think I fear that. I think it's something that's very common, very easy to become afraid of. People have a fear of being hurt. People have a fear of not being understood. And I think all of them exist minorly, but I think a fear is something that exists majorly, where it's actually a prominent part of your mind or your thought process. So I would say I'm not immune to fear, but I don't allow it to become overwhelming.
Normally, people around the Rastafarian community know me as Sister Benji. And musically, I'm known as the artist Uwimana, which means daughter of Jah. Growing up, I was afraid of death. Yeah, definitely. As a young child, it was one of those terrifying things that you didn't understand. So it was like real, what do you say? It was real fear, because it was like I had just the thought that nobody explained it properly, and you just see like people being buried and stuff like that. But been to funerals before. A friend of mine's uncle got killed, and it was very dramatic. I remember the whole grief and everything, and going to the funeral, and that was the first time I saw somebody being put, into a grave, and the whole scenario around it. And I remember that I kept thinking, how is he gonna come up? What's gonna happen? He's gonna stay there, because I couldn't, comprehend that, that's how it goes. The spirit leaves. There's no life, and I couldn't understand that as a young child. So that was my initial fear, definitely. Growing up, I got real interesting one. I think when I was growing up, about 15, I started getting involved with Rastafarianism in terms of finding out about, the doctrine and stuff like that. And as you know, growing up in Jamaica, you have a strict upbringing. It's not like coming in England and you're free, you can do what you want. And like these children nowadays, you had to follow a certain discipline. So my fear was like my uncle, who was very strict, who I grew up with, and my grandmother. And I had to find ways of, like when I started trying to locks my hair, and I'd just plait it up, and I don't like, and he come and says, "Why are you here looking like that?" And I'd be like, "Oh God, he's gonna find out," And that was like a real fear, because it was like they put all their effort into you, and to them at the time, Rasta was nothing, But when I came to England, it was like I realized that, what? There was nothing to fear, because it was like that was your destiny. And just going through school, influencing other youngsters at the time, coming through. And it was like, that was the best thing that could have happened to me, moving from Jamaica to England at that time, because, I relinquished that fear. Yes. All right. So yeah, I overcame my fear of death by knowledge, really, by understanding, when I realized that, that is a cycle, part of life cycle, that, it goes round and comes. And when you die, you do not suffocate in that box. There's nothing in that way to make you feel any pain. And upon realizing that, that was like a release. And then, finding out about the different realms and aspects of liberty and life itself.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and I'm a music photographer. Well, I spent a long time fearing the judgment of other people, and it was really hindering my life, and it's holding me back. And it's taken me a long time. I didn't just wake up one day and sort of it was like, oh, this is something that I can look over, it's something that I can work against. It's just something that it's taken me a long time to sort of come to a point where it doesn't make me afraid anymore, and I just start to seeing the differences in my life and how things were changing and how much more I was putting out to the world. Well, I couldn't say it was one individual thing, but I've always known that I wanted to take a different path to other people, and I wanted to take a different path to the people that I grew up with. And initially I found this quite an isolating path to take, and albeit I felt estranged in many situations, like from a lot of people and in lots of different groups around me that I was growing up with, and I felt, I don't know, I wasn't being my most authentic self, and I wanted to like have some kind of authenticity to my character, and I don't know, I think you can realise from that is having to like hit a point where you feel like you're not being yourself, that it makes you kind of react against it. And I don't know, I guess I came to the realisation that it's okay to be different, and it's okay to take your own path, and it's okay to rewrite the rules a bit, and albeit that path that you're taking might be a little lonely at the start, the people who are meant to be in your life will find you, and they will support you, and they will help you to grow, and there won't be any judgment there. But ultimately it's you who needs to empower yourself first. So it's taken me the best part of 20 years to come to a place where I can say that, yes, I can still see the judgment and I can still acknowledge it, but it can't hurt me or make me afraid anymore. It's easier said than done, but you've got to look outwards and not inwards, and you can interpret that in many ways, but you've got to look out towards the world, you've got to look to the future. You can't be bound by your past mistakes, because I made a lot of mistakes and most people do, and you don't have to restrict yourself to someone who you used to be. And you can't keep looking inwards and be thinking, I have to commit to the person that I once was, I have to commit to the people that I used to be with, because ultimately they might be holding you back, and your past personality might be holding you back as well, which it was the case for me.